Hey everyone. We are continuing to talk about the president and the executive branch and kind of the basic structures of who's doing what, who picks whom to be in charge, and the different roles of the support staff. So this week, we are getting more into the people who are supporting the president, right? The executive branch has become such a massive operation that one person can't just do the entire thing. So there's a lot of moving parts and pieces that actually have different heads, different CEO type positions that help keep the operations running smoothly. So, as we are getting into this, a couple of questions to think about maybe. First off, we know that the president has a cabinet. Now, the president's cabinet is the top advisors. They help implement the different public policies. So, these are the people that are going to be kind of trusted for the president. He's going to go to them in order to get advice, in order to help him do his job. So, my question for you is if you were president, what kind of cabinet would you choose? Right? Would you want people who are going to be of similar thought to you? Would you want people who are of different mindsets? That way you can get a wide range of perspectives, varieties. Okay, so something to think about. How would you best run a country? When we look at different presidents, they have all had different philosophies on this. George Washington's cabinet was made up of Thomas Jefferson, Alexander Hamilton, Henry Knox, and a lot of these men, while they were helping as the founders of the new nation, they had very differing opinions on how the government should be run. And a lot of times they did not agree with each other, and they kind of had to pull rank against each other a couple of different times. Abraham Lincoln chose a cabinet of people that ran against him as president because he wanted to have multiple perspectives. His goal was trying to keep the nation united, wanted to keep everyone a little bit more happy than they had been in the past. So, in order to reach the wide range of ideology throughout the United States, he got a wide range of people who would tell him what their opinions were and help him make those different policies. John F. Kennedy chose his own brother to be in his cabinet, so someone that he trusted very closely, grew up with, most likely had a lot of the same ideological backgrounds and beliefs. Obama ended up choosing Hillary Clinton also to be in his cabinet, and he ran against her, right? They were both in the running originally for presidency, so even though they aren't of separate parties, he chose someone who was on the different end of the spectrum when it came to his political ideology beliefs. So, a lot of the president's cabinet are made up of top advisors. Okay, so these are the top advisors of the president. They are the heads of the 13 different executive departments. 12 of them are referred to as secretaries, one is the attorney general. We know based on Article 2 of the Constitution that they're nominated by the president and must be confirmed by the Senate. Okay, our top cabinet positions are going to be our state or foreign policy, our Department of Treasury, Department of Defense, and our Attorney General. Here are some of those smaller ones. Okay, Secretary of Interior, Secretary of Agriculture, Commerce, Labor, Health and Human Services, Housing and Urban Development, Transportation, Energy, Secretary of Education, Secretary of Veterans Affairs, and Homeland Security. Now, these people who are the heads of the offices, they are typically going to be the experts in their positions. They are going to be the most respected, and they are going to have more loyalty at the end of the day to their position rather than to the president themselves. Okay, so they are much more loyal to their executive department than they are to the president, right? They're the experts. They know what they're talking about, and most likely they are going to be going to the president and saying, here's the move that you need to make next. Here's what I need to recommend to you, and you should take it based on my expertise. It's not very often that the president is going to go against what a secretary has recommended for them. Okay, but This group of people comes together in order to help the president make their decision making, help sort out different ideas that they may have, help with the agenda of the year, things like that. Another group of people who are going to help the president in order to do their job is called the White House staff. Now, these people are not elected into their positions like you would think of as a senator or a representative. These are the key aides that the president is going to see every day. And these are basically the people who are going to be running all of the other people doing their jobs for the executive branch. Okay, so we have our chief of staff, meaning this guy is going around making sure people are where they need to be, communicating through different branch parts of the White House, helping the president organize his thoughts. Okay, so it's a very trusted person in the president's life. We also have a congressional liaison. This is going to be the person that's running back and forth between the leadership of Congress and the president themselves. They are going to be talking about negotiations, making deals, what is the agenda, here's different offerings that we can give you if you vote a certain way. Okay, kind of, again, that telephone line between the executive branch and the legislative branch. We also have the press secretary. The press secretary is the person who is kind of the public face for the executive branch when it comes to the press and media. If there's any big news moments happening or any messages that need to be delivered out on the executive branch's behalf but the president isn't available, this person is going to get up and answer those type of questions. They are going to be the communication mouthpiece for the president and all of the different cabinet members if there is something big going on. Finally, we have our national security assistant. Obviously, national security is dealing with the armed forces, nuclear weapons, foreign affairs, anything going on with countries where negotiations possibly are taking place. Next, we have the executive office. So far up to this point, we have seen the cabinet as well as the White House staff. Okay, those are two of the big pieces. The third of those moving pieces is the executive office. Okay, the executive office, we've got a couple of different moving pieces and parts. We have the Office of Management and Budget. This is the group of people who are going to basically look at what has Congress allocated out to the executive branch. Now we are the experts in then delegating out that money to where it needs to go based on the needs of the departments as well as the agenda wants of the president, things like that. So there's over 600 highly skilled career officials that typically work in that position, right? We see career officials, again, because they are not being elected into that position. That is their role. That is their job. They're most likely going to be working at the White House for a long time. We have our National Security Council, again, helping coordinate that military, foreign policy advisors, helping work with ambassadors from around the world. And finally, we have our Council of Economic Advisors. Okay, so again, these are going to be the people that are working with the president in order to come up with policy, executive orders, giving updates, maybe on unemployment numbers or a number of jobs available in the public, kind of looking at that supply and demand. How are we doing in relation to other countries? How are states trading with each other? How are we as a nation trading with other countries? All of that is going to be information that is kind of summarized, brought back to the president in order to help him make assessments and then know where to move forward from there. Okay, so they're dealing with the money. How is money moving throughout the country? Now, a big part of working with the president and helping him accomplish his job is going to be Congress, obviously. Okay, so the president isn't able to do a lot of their job unless they have Congress on board, and even more specifically, the Senate. Okay, we know from Article 2 that the Senate is going to confirm any presidential appointments for cabinet members. Okay, so any of those secretaries or the attorney general, the ambassadors, So any U.S. ambassador who's going to go and live in another country, be the face of our country in that other part of the world. And then higher up White House staff members are confirmed in by the Senate. Okay, so we think about some of those important checks. We always want to keep in mind what are the powers and how are they checked when it comes to being in action. Okay, obviously we just went over Senate confirmation is a really important check, but a way that the president can overcome one of those checks is by some of his longest lasting influence through the Supreme Court nominations. Okay, so most likely judges who are nominated to the Supreme Court by the president are going to have similar agenda views as the president, and even after the president has been either termed out of office or is not elected back into that position, that Supreme Court member is still going to be there. So take, for example, after this past election, we flipped from having a Republican president to a Democratic president, but the last president, President Trump, nominated and got confirmation for 3 people onto the Supreme Court. And those 3 people will be on the Supreme Court for the rest of their life, however long they want to serve. And it's, again, that check of the different branches acting against each other, not only for the life tenure of Supreme Court, but also the fact that the president and his ideologies get to continue on after they've left office. So, just to review real quick, we have our cabinet, we have our White House staff, and then we have our presidential advisors.